Did you know Echoplex has a 24-hour stream? That's right. Check out our 24/7 music stream at echoplexmedia.com/live or at eplex.xyz. Our huge self-submitted local music library plays the best tunes the Bay Area has to offer, and commercial free, well, except for ours, and even by request. Check out the player on echoplexmedia.com or at eplex.xyz. Bookmark it and enjoy it all day. Echoplex is very supportive of our local music scene, and we hope you enjoy the soundtrack they've so graciously sent in for us to play on our network. If you like who you hear, please go check them out. The names of the artists are displayed on the player at echoplexmedia.com and at eplex.xyz.
She doesn't just think it, she says it on camera.
Hey everybody, welcome to Downballot. We do this show live every Tuesday at 7:30 p.m. Pacific right here at echoplexmedia.com/live or twitch.tv/echoplexmedia. Just real quick before we get started, I wanted to thank a member of our community, Drake, purchased us a little something from our wish list, It arrived today. It's the new studio. Some stage lights, some programmable stage lights, so that when we switch over to red light, we just move a little thing on a little mixer over here and don't got to do nothing.
That's fabulous. Does it have all sorts of colors set up? Like, could you do red, green, orange, magenta,
yellow, even
yellow?
But
this could be crazy.
That'd look a little weird. Yeah, you know those lights that you see at the clubs. They're the circles with all the little dots in them.
Right.
Yeah. A pair of those, and now on our list we have a mixer, a controller for those on the list. $45, super cheap. Anybody can buy those for us, but obviously if that doesn't show up, I'm going to buy it because those lights are far more useful if they're hanging from the ceiling and controlled via remote. So,
very nice. And where can one find the wish list?
Go to echoplexmedia.com/support, and it's the first link there. Or if you're in the chat, Bang Wish will get you links. We'll get you a link to it. So,
great.
And other ways you can support us also at echoplexmedia.com/support. And of course you can subscribe, throw bits at us here on Twitch, whatever. And if you can't do any of that, of course, just share the stream with your friends. Helping us grow helps us find some other fool who'll give us money or buy us some lights or some shit like that. Anyway, I'm producer Dave, and I can be found on Grindr.
And this is the Councilman. You can find me on Twitter at THE_Councilman, and other places in and around the South Bay. I'm lurking and waiting to take your home by eminent domain. But today we're going to get out of the South Bay a little bit because, as we like to say here on Down Ballot, all derp is local, and the local news is pretty much the same everywhere from what we found. And the politics are kind of the same too. We'll get to that in a second, but
the politics. I don't know about that one.
Well, at least on one side of the aisle. But the good wife and I recently took a little sojourn down to Arizona, just to get away from things. We went to Sedona. We went to the rocks, and we felt some crystals, and we chanted, and I massaged her sensually. No, of course, none of this happened. She had a spa, and I hung out at the pool and just like soaked in some sun, and looked at the rocks and said, "Man, we could hike up that, but no." Anyway, what we did find though. Was that indeed news is hella interesting and wacky no matter where you go around the country. And like I said, we'll get into the politics in a bit, but there's some very unique things about Arizona that we found through the local news and watching the local news, because it's something we do every night, no matter where we are. So the first thing we found to lead off tonight's show and our trip down to Arizona that we're going to take you on is that monsoon season, if you can believe that, is a thing in Arizona, despite the fact that it's a big, fat, freaking desert. So we're going to learn more about that from the local news down in Arizona as we lead off the show tonight.
Monsoon 2022, and that storm that knocked out power to thousands of people for days. Pinell County just declared a state of emergency due to the storm damage and a long power outage during the hottest temperatures of this summer. APS just updated us saying power should be restored by tonight. As ABC 15's Mark Phillips reports, that's welcome news for the neighbors who had to spend another day in this intense heat.
You don't have to look hard to see signs of Sunday's monsoon in Eloy. But you also don't have to look very far to see progress is being made here. APS is concentrating its efforts on this power station, one of 3 that was damaged Sunday night. Fix it, and it should be able to restore power to most of the people who live in Eloy. For the 7,000 APS customers still without power Tuesday, it's trips to the ice distribution site.
Very hot inside the house.
Or if you have nowhere else to go, a cooling station for escape.
It felt so good. It felt so good. I can't be out in the heat too much because I get really nauseated. And since we've been here, it's been really nice.
Dolores and everyone else affected just want to go home. APS says it's hoping that will happen soon.
Our crews are working as quickly and as safely as possible around the clock to be able to restore customers as quickly as possible.
And as of now, APS says that should be within the next few hours. Mark Phillips, ABC 15, Arizona.
So I feel dumb. I don't know what the fuck monsoon season is.
Right. I didn't really know much, or at least what I thought I knew, I didn't know. It's pretty much like summer, super humid, super quick, just torrential dumps of rain and wind and just weather, basically. And it also involves in Arizona, because it's a big desert, because it involves wind and sort of gusts and billowing kind of environment. The sand picks up and it creates sandstorms. So in addition to like the rain, you're getting this weird mix of sand in the air too. And it's like it's almost like you're sandblasting the whole town. And that's what knocks down like power lines and cuts out power. And then the very next day, it can be sunny and 105 degrees, and you're like, shit, I don't have AC, and you're baking in your house or your apartment.
Oh, and I'm sure when it's raining, it's not like it goes down to 60 or anything.
Correct.
Like
no, and it's like brutally hot rain. Like we were up in the north part of the state, which was temperate for the time, like, and that's 85, 90. But down in Phoenix, it's 107 average this time of year. And it doesn't, yeah, you're right. It does not cool down just because it's raining. So maybe it gets down to 100 hundo. But it was 100 at like 9 a.m, because it didn't cool down overnight. It probably got down to like 90 overnight just because the sun just bakes the earth, right? And so even after the sun goes away, the earth is on fire.
Yeah, that's sort of like friends of ours have property out in Chico, and the first time I went up there to spend a weekend, I was like, oh, it's up north, it'll be a little bit cooler. And my friend looked at me and started laughing at me.
No.
He's like, that's what's not going to happen, dude.
Yeah.
He's like, it's inland.
Exposed.
He's like, it's inland, and it's not like it's that much north if you look at a globe. He's like, we're not going to Alaska, dude.
Right. And when he says inland, he means like not as much breeze and wind and air current, right? To get the hot air out. So yeah, it's brutally hot. So it's no surprise that people like just spend a lot of time at resorts and by the pool and in their air conditioned workspace. Like you go downtown in Phoenix, it's eerie. It's a ghost town. Like weekday, morning or afternoon, when there should be, even midday, lunchtime, when there should be people bustling around, right? You'd expect nobody on the street. Everyone's just inside. They just figure out a way to stay inside. I think the only people we saw out were like door dashers. So drivers, that is. So yeah, very, very different from our temperate climate here. You should all feel very, very lucky to live here if you do live in the South Bay or the Bay Area. And especially on those days when it does happen to hit 100 degrees, don't feel so bad, because it's literally like every day for them there. They actually said on the news, producer Dave, it had been 105 or 106 for like 5 days straight. And they're like, well, we're seeing average temperatures out there, but we're expecting a warming next week.
And you're like, oh, what do you mean warming next week?
Well, yeah, what's a warming? 115, 110? Like, that gets to be unsustainable.
No,
so.
A friend of mine lives in Tempe, and he sent me a picture of his thermometer in his backyard, and it was like 119. It was like but it was like one of those thermometers with the plastic around it, and maybe the sun was hitting it, so it was a little hotter. But I mean, good Lord. How do you?
It's not pleasant at all. We went to a baseball game at their ballpark in Phoenix, and they have a retractable dome, and they can actually cool it down to, at least before game time, like 75 degrees, 72, 75 degrees, which is totally, comfortable. But then by the end of the game, with everyone breathing and cheering and everything, it heats up. I just can't imagine what their AC bill is. It's a huge place. And then they open it up at the end of the day and let all the cool air out and open the roof to let the sun in to feed the grass, I guess.
To feed the grass.
And then they do it all over again. It's like, my God, that's a lot of like energy. I can't imagine how much APS is charging them, or Arizona Power is charging them. But they probably have a deal of some sort. Anyway, so monsoon season is a thing. It knocks out the power, and that creates even more problems. And it comes up just boom, and you can feel it. It's like if you've ever been in the South and been in like a rainstorm in the South, that's exactly what it feels like. Just really humid, and then just dumps on you all at once, and then it's gone. So sweet summer rain. So watch out if you're going to Arizona in June, July timeframe. We were not aware of this.
What do you mean watch out? Go in like the end of October.
Yeah, if you can. Go in the winter time even. It's actually gorgeous up in Sedona. It snows even up there a little bit. So check it out. All right. Well, that's enough about the local landscape. Let's get into some derp. I'm not even going to preface this one. We can just jump right into it if you want.
We got the winners and losers section where nobody wins unless you're rooting for somebody, and then they probably lose. And here's our first story.
Update on a story we first told you about last week at 10 o'clock. A Valley man was found not guilty after criminal justice advocates say Glenn Robertson was inappropriately charged as a gang member because of what he told an officer during an arrest. Robertson was on trial for assisting a criminal street gang and threatening and intimidating. He yelled out "Black Lives Matter" and made a reference to Crips on the back streets while being detained on suspicion of hit and run back in June of 2020. Now, his defense was he wasn't a gang member and he was just exercising his right to free speech. Well, last year, you might recall in the ABC 15's politically charged investigation, we showed how groups of Black Lives protesters were falsely charged as gang members that helped lead to charges being dropped in a Department of Justice investigation into Phoenix police.
Yo, just yelling Black Lives Matter at the cops could get you like added charges in Arizona. That's fucked up.
Apparently, I think I was a little too generous in the docket, honestly. If you're black, apparently in Arizona, you're in a gang. That seems to be the thing, not just BLM.
He also said something about Crips on the streets, but like you noticed he said something about Crips on the streets. So right. He might have been like, I'm not the Crips out in the streets. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
we don't know what he said. He could have been like, no, I'm not a fucking gang member.
Quite similar to when producer Dave on this network, we broadcast clips that we are refuting, right, and debunking,
right,
and we get accused of being the ones with the false information.
That happened to our Facebook actually today.
Today, oh great! Are we in jail?
I'm personally in Facebook jail. They didn't go after the organization; they went after the individual, which is good because that way we can broadcast local love. To Facebook.
Only one of your accounts? Only one of your accounts?
My real account. I posted I'd call it an interview, but that would be generous. I posted a discussion I had with someone who drinks his own urine and thinks the pandemic is fake and is driving around the country in a Mustang, not even the V8 one, with like a ugly rap on it, calling himself the vaccine police. I got a hold of him and spoke with him, and Facebook said we were doing misinformation.
Very nice. Well, I'm sorry to hear that.
They got the same algorithm though, like deciding who's in a gang in Arizona, apparently.
Yeah, exactly. The police run it through a system. Like, hold on a second. I'll be right back. I need to run this through the gang processor back in my car here.
Oh no, this next story. Oh no. So they're like an online safety survey for like the school district, and the posts were probably like fucking people freaking out on groomers, drag queen story hour, and critical race theory, and oh no.
Yes, inappropriate. So looks like Scottsdale Unified School District. This is actually one place where the good wife and I did stay for a couple of days. Was in Scottsdale. It's a resort town. It reminded me a lot of Palm Springs or Indio around where Coachella's at. So a lot of resorts, a lot of houses built back from the street, and it's brutally hot. But a cool little town. If you want to go, they got some baseball there in the spring. Anyway, their school district apparently put out a crisis safety security survey type thing to their community. They called it a thought exchange.
Oh no!
And yes, apparently they were trying to solicit or create sort of a safe space forum online where people could offer feedback and thoughts about the district and how they do in terms of creating a welcoming environment and a safe environment and keeping students safe. And apparently it drew some what they called quote unquote inappropriate and irrelevant posts. And so the district decided to shut the thing down, which is what school districts do when they get when they draw more attention than they were expecting to. So this is a story about what's happened there and the fallout from that.
A survey on school safety shut down in less than 3 hours. Tonight, I'm learning Scottsdale Unified School District says inappropriate and irrelevant posts are the reason they had to shut it down.
Last night, our administration opened up a thought exchange as a way to solicit feedback on school safety in our schools. And what we were trying to do was hear from our staff members and hear from our community about issues or concerns they might have and some ideas for improving safety for our staff and students on our campuses.
But Scottsdale Unified School District board member Jan Michael Greenberg says that online survey took a turn.
The board was then later notified a few hours later that the thought exchange had to be closed down.
The Scottsdale Unified School District says some users posted a number of, quote, inappropriate and irrelevant posts unrelated to advancing the safety and security of Scottsdale schools.
About 400 people participated in the thought exchange, about 100 staff members. We received some really great feedback as part of that process, very helpful feedback. But unfortunately, there was a contingent of individuals who chose to use that forum as a way to make false and derogatory comments about other citizens and other staff members in our school district.
ABC 15 obtaining some of those posts from a Scottsdale parent. One claims, quote, Joe Biden is a Chinese puppet. Another says, quote, wait till these masked out, drugged out kids get older.
I did not see the exchange personally. I believe they are authentic based on what I've seen, and it looks like the thought exchange format.
The district and school board president wouldn't do an interview, but referred me to this statement, saying in part, we cannot emphasize enough how disappointed we are about having to close down this avenue of discourse with you. We have spent the summer working closely with our partners in law enforcement to review our plans and protocols, knowing that preparation is the key to mitigating or preventing a crisis.
It is frustrating for me. We do take feedback, community feedback, very seriously. We think it's an important part of our job as administrators and board members of a school district, especially on a topic of such great importance. We've seen what happened at Uvalde. We don't want students or staff to be in the face of danger.
In addition to getting feedback from parents, Greenberg says Scottsdale Schools has hired social workers for each campus. That's to better focus on mental health so students and staff feel comfortable and safe when they're going to school. Now, he also says the district has spent millions to upgrade school buildings as safe as possible. Of course, you can vocalize solutions to school safety to SUSD. We've attached a link to our website at abc15.com. Just click on this story.
If you'd like the harassment to continue, please visit a link on our website.
We have attached a link to our website. Love it. What is this, like the 90s? If you want to complain, please go there again. Unfortunate, but not unexpected, right? I mean, you create a free marketplace of ideas, and this is what results.
I think that I bet there was a lot of shit they didn't show about groomers and a lot of, I'd be willing to bet that if any names were mentioned, I'd be willing to bet it was names of people in the community or names of people on staff who were part of marginalized groups. More likely than not.
More than likely than not. I think you're more than likely correct there. And unfortunately it's kind of like, it's ironic, I guess, if anything is ironic, that, but just sadly ironic, that a space that's created to try to, improve communication and safety and togetherness in a way, and be a thought, what did they call it? Sorry, I have to go back to it again. A thought exchange. It turns into exactly what you'd expect it to turn into, like bullies, bullying out and forcing out viewpoints and perspectives that may be valuable through the natural things that bullies do, whether it's online or offline.
So when I saw we were doing Arizona, there's just one person in Arizona who I know for a fact needs to get their shit together. There's many, but the top of the list, Carrie Lake.
Yeah, she definitely needs to figure out who she is. I think that's definitely a problem for her. So are we going to do a little deep dive here during Get Your Shit Together? A little bit. We're going to do looks like two clips of her, and then one clip of a good friend of hers that we've been running a lot of clips on the other shows because his behavior has been so extra that he has transcended his Arizona residency with it. No, so not Donald Trump. Not Donald Trump, no. Not Donald Trump, no. Okay. And we'll regular viewers of the other shows might know exactly who we're talking about. Anyway, here's our first clip. This is
just a little bit of a, I guess, like a short profile of her and talking about how Donald Trump endorses her.
It was candidate night at the weekly United Patriot AZ meeting in Gilbert. Kari Lake was the featured guest.
The people who came out tonight all know who Kari Lake is, but most of them said they wanted to hear what she has to say. Size her up, if you will, before deciding whether they'll vote for her.
I've seen her on TV, but I've never seen her in person. I want to hear that she's going to actually be a good, solid candidate.
Like many who attended, Dick Rollins and his wife Rosalie are concerned about migrants crossing the border. Despite the lack of evidence of widespread voter fraud, they also questioned the outcome of the 2020 election. And they disagreed with mask mandates and shutting down businesses during COVID.
I'm listening very carefully to her pitch to see what she has to say. We are in desperate need of an effective governor.
It didn't take long for the Rollinses or anyone else to realize where Kari Lake stands on those issues, on the COVID response.
And what did that governor who ran a business do? He shut down your business.
On the 2020 election.
This issue is the reason for all of our trouble right now. A corrupt, stolen, rotten election.
And the border.
My border plan is going to take back operational control from the cartels and the narco-terrorists.
In an interview after her appearance, Lake says her border plan includes building the wall, something the Republican legislature began paying to do this session. And she says she'll work with other states to actively pursue illegal immigrants, track them down, and deport them.
We can't count on the federal government to do it. They've failed. They've left us wide open. They pulled away an effective border plan that was working brilliantly.
On other issues like abortion, Lake says she supports reverting back to the pre-Roe law, which outlaws all abortions except when the mother's life's at risk. But Lake recognizes enforcing the law requires building a social safety net to protect the babies and their mothers.
We need to help scared mothers. I'm not suggesting that we just leave people out to dry. I understand people are afraid when they're pregnant. Sometimes it's unexpected.
And finally, on saving our water resource, Lake says it will take a coordinated federal and state response. And every idea, no matter how long it takes or how expensive it is, needs to be considered.
And we can do things quickly. I mean, in 6 months, no. But if it comes to the point of we don't have water, you want to see how fast Americans work to get pipes built?
More than 200 people showed up for Lake's appearance. Organizers say it's far more people than a normal meeting. A sign her message to voters was received by this crowd. Mark Phillips, ABC 15, Arizona.
So not for nothing, that lion logo was all over the place on January 6th.
Not surprising, but yeah, for what it's worth, that's actually good knowledge. So this is the GOP primary for governor in Arizona, and those of us in California haven't experienced partisan primaries in quite a while because we all voted to not have them anymore. So anyone can vote in whoever's primary that in the primary for whoever they want, and the candidates just sort of say, "Hey, I'm a Democrat," or "I'm a Republican," or "I'm independent," depending on their preference. They don't even have to say anything. In Arizona, it's still a partisan primary, so there's a Democratic primary. They're not really having one because the governor's, I believe, a Democrat, and going for re-election. On the Republican side, it's just much more interesting and flame-throwing. So Kari Lake is running against, and I'm sorry, I'm forgetting her name now. It's another Kari, actually. But Kari Lake is endorsed by Trump. She is courting the MAGA vote for sure. But she has some backstory, and she's been being hit quite a bit by her opponent for giving to Obama, donating to Obama's campaign, and also for apparently being, close or friends or just, acquainted with and not really squishy about a drag queen. And in fact, may have, hired a drag queen for a birthday party at some point in her past for kids. And this has been made a point of contention by her opponent, who's trying to undercut her, Republican MAGA kind of bona fides, right? So she's a former news anchor, TV news anchor, so she's trying to pivot and trying to use the media to, downplay the controversy. So this is a piece that we might not have to watch the whole thing, but she apparently got on Fox News, and we're not going to watch Fox News, thank God. And with Brett Baer, and Brett pushed her a little bit on this, and she got a little testy. So we're going to watch Carrie try to spin herself out of a little bit of a controversy on the right.
We're checking in today's bias, buzz, and bull in the world of cable news and beyond. The Arizona gubernatorial race is the ultimate example of media meets politics, or maybe media versus politics. Not only has it become a battle between the GOP establishment and the Trump wing of the Republican Party, but it's become a proxy battle between Trump and Fox News. And then there are the drag queens. We'll get to that in a minute. Former local anchor Carrie Lake has become a darling of the Trump movement and is currently the favorite to win the nomination over Karen Taylor Robson. But somehow alleged hypocrisy surrounding drag queens has become an issue. Roughly 2 weeks ago, the Washington Post brought attention to Lake's campaign with a breathless article. The headline that read, quote, Arizona GOP candidate who criticized drag was once a fan, drag queen says. Not typical coverage for an Arizona candidate by a paper in the nation's capital. On the day that article came out, Lake went on Fox News and was asked about that by Brett Baer.
This is the quote. Arizona GOP gubernatorial candidate Carrie Lake, who has attacked drag queens as dangerous to children, attended the shows of drag queen Richard Stevens for more than 20 years and once hired him to perform at her home. Do you care to address that?
I do care. I actually do care to address that, and I'm really shocked. I'm actually appalled that Fox News would take defamatory story like that, and we are pursuing legal action against this strike.
No, lady, there's a picture of you like all cuddling and shit. It's cute, like whatever, like it's endearing to normal people.
Yep.
I'm appalled.
You'll love the name of the drag queen, by the way, when we get to it. Sorry, I don't want to spoil it.
That you would bring that up when you have not talked about our stolen election.
He'd actually talked about it a number of times already, and Brett Baer did not take it lying down.
We just spent 3 questions, Ms. Lake, talking about this. I just asked you a number of questions about it. I played the Arizona House Speaker. Let's address this story that's in the Washington Post. Every candidate takes tough stories. I'm asking you to respond to it if you'd like to.
I'm happy to address it, but I'm really disappointed in Fox. I thought you were a little better than CNN.
There is no bigger insult than to compare Fox to CNN while on Fox News. Nonetheless, Lake eventually addressed Draggate.
This is a person who I covered for decades, 20 years, and he's never been in my home. He says he's been in my home for a drag show. That's ludicrous. He's never been in my home. He's lied. We tried to serve him defamation papers. I'm really appalled.
Oh, lady, if you paid him with a check,
that you would spend time on a false story like that. It's shocking.
We'll see where that legal piece of that goes. But former President Trump has often been critical of Fox News coverage he doesn't like. He praised Lake for calling out Fox News. She then went on Fox competitor Newsmax and took a victory lap.
He thought it was a big gotcha moment. Brett Baer thought he was going to do an ambush on me, which he tried, but the real problem is...
It wasn't an ambush.
Talk about the election, which he was the first to call in Arizona. He doesn't want to...
An ambush would be like if you didn't know you were going to be on the Brett Baer show, and then boom, all of a sudden you were on the Brett Baer show.
Right. He wants to distract us with ridiculous stories that nobody cares about.
So how did Fox News react? How else? By featuring Carrie Lake's opponent, Karen Taylor Robson, in multiple interviews last week, like this one with Laura Ingraham.
Is it true that Carrie Lake was she an Obama supporter? I keep thinking that can't be true, but did she support Obama?
She did. She donated to Obama. She knocked doors for Obama.
What?
Her political life and career has been quite interesting, from Democrat to Independent to Republican to Democrat. And quite frankly, she found God, guns, and the GOP about a day and a half before she decided to run for governor.
Lady, call her a grifter. Just call her a grifter. Just call her a grifter. It's a slam dunk. She's a grifter. Call her. I don't even like this lady, I bet, but call her a fucking grifter.
She found, and it would be alliterative too. She found God, guns, the GOP, and she's a grifter.
God, guns, and God, guns, GOP. The God, guns, GOP grift. You're right.
There you go. Right.
Yeah, I think that's enough of this.
Yeah, so it's Karen. Sorry, it's Karen Taylor is her opponent. So Carrie versus Karen. Great. So we get a Karen, or we get an almost Karen. So this is a friend of Carrie's that you feature on the other show.
On many other nights, this person has been a mainstay of Conspiracy Bingo when we don't have anything else to watch on Saturday, and oftentimes Red Light. Although when we were doing the upfront on the Sunday show, mostly about mask mania, there's more alliteration there. He featured prominently. This anti-maskers club, Ethan Schmidt. He has been photographed with Carrie Lake, not a few enough times that she doesn't know who he is, right? It's not like there's one picture of them together.
It's not like, hey Carrie, take a selfie with me.
Yeah,
in the middle of a rope line, right?
Right. She knows exactly who the fuck he is, and she hasn't made any overtures to try to distance herself from him. So here's him talking about how among other things, how his group got infiltrated by people. He's just a straight up conspiracy loon and big old homophobe. Been running around calling everybody at Target groomers. And he stopped doing that though, because there was one old guy there that looked like he had a little bit of old man strength that needed to be unleashed, and Ethan kind of hightailed it out of the Target. But anyway, this is long. We're not going to play all of it, but this is one of the people that Carrie Lake has chosen to associate herself with.
She's got interesting friends. Drag queens, this guy.
Ethan Schmidt here. I just want to spill the beans about my insider information about January 6th.
Oh, no.
So, my crew, as you guys probably know, my crew here in Arizona, we exposed 2 out of the 3 people that were removed from the FBI's wanted list January 6th. That one of them was Ray Epps. My whole crew exposed him completely. And then the other one is Luke Robinson, who I have a long history with. I had a long history with him. And, sort of a long history. I don't know. Only like a year. Known him for like a year or whatever. He's disappeared now. I haven't talked to him for a long time. I wonder why. Probably because he's an FBI informant. But anyways, let me tell you. I'm trying to tell you guys this full story.
Wait a second. So he knew the guy for a year and he hasn't talked to him for a long time. So what's a long time if a year is not, like, I guess a year is a long time to him. So, but he hasn't talked to him for a long time.
That's a good question. I haven't. So I got this from Telegram, and usually I have time to kind of go through the terrorist training camp notes in the comments.
Right.
In his Telegram. I did not have time to do that today.
Shame.
There's probably a great story here.
Luke Robinson, 343, one of my maskless shopping events. I had a maskless shopping event. I'm pretty sure it was after January 6th. Yeah, it was after January 6th. So, he came to one of my maskless shopping events. He's always like, whenever I hung out with him, he's always like skittish and nervous. So that's not a very good sign. But, I thought he was my friend, but I'm pretty sure the FBI sent him to infiltrate my group, specifically to infiltrate me and my friend MJ, who was also at January 6th, who actually made a video exposing and confronting Luke Robinson. So go find that video at Twitter at the JFK Report. He's obviously has something to do with the FBI. And anyways, I'll get more into it. Okay, so where was I? Yeah, so he came to one of my maskless shopping events, and that's why I first met him. I feel like the FBI sent him to infiltrate my group, like I said, in exchange for like a plea deal or something. There's something weird going on there, clearly.
So anyway, I think that kind of gives people sort of an idea of who this guy is. He has had anti-mask shopping events. People in his organization were at January 6th.
Sorry, my brain's melting a little bit. What is an anti-mask shopping event or a mask shopping event? What is that?
They would go places when there were mask mandates and show up in numbers and refuse to wear a mask.
Oh, I remember. We had a couple of those. That's right.
You might have even seen one of his if you happened upon the Plex or were just like watching from home or whatever.
Right. Well, you know what? We have the news on pretty much all day here, and even the cable news channels, eventually they run out of shit to talk about for 5 minutes or so, and they got to run some local shit from one of their affiliates. So I think we might have seen it on there, like something like one of those. It's like a flash mob almost, right? Of people without masks going into a place that, whatever, not because they're forbidding them, because the state is forbidding them from allowing them.
So
yeah, no, I've seen it. Okay, sorry. That
so real quick, with his friend losing contact with them, there's like a much simpler explanation. This person he knows ended up at January 6th, was maybe in over their head, right? Didn't really expect the kinds of things they were going to do, got caught up in the crowd, ended up on a wanted list. And then the FBI decided, this wasn't really a big fish, took the person off the wanted list. Person was like appropriately spooked by the whole fucking thing and was like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to lay low for a little while. I'm going to fucking watch Netflix. I'm going to order some DoorDash.
Right.
I'm going to go ahead and do a fucking fuck all and not talk to anybody involved in any of this and hope that the FBI continues to forget about me.
I'm going to smoke a big fat bowl of Indy Couch.
Right. That's like a way more rational explanation for why this guy cut ties with Ethan than he was there to gather information for the FBI, got the information he wanted, and now he's split because he's on like some other FBI mission or something.
Oh man. Well, this guy seems like a character. I gotta start paying attention to the Sunday show again and Conspiracy Bingo, because that's just too much fun.
I mean, we try not to do too much with him because he's like constantly posting these videos, and as we get a little more popular on nights other than Tuesday, we kind of don't want to be putting so much shine on somebody like him as his popularity starts to wane.
Sure.
Like it's like the Madison Star Moon dilemma, kind of, right? Where she's no longer popular. More people watch, like late at night on Sunday night, there's more people, more concurrent viewers sometimes on our show than she had total viewers on her video that was from last Tuesday. And so then you go, I don't know about even showing this shit to people.
It's kind of like the balance. It's sort of, at what point does the benefit of, having fun at her expense and whatever viewer or listenership it gets you, right, or whatever attention it gets the show, how much does that counteract the SEO boost you're giving her or them by giving them the play in the first place, right? And continuing to elevate the thing that you're trying to expunge. So makes a lot of sense. I'm with you. I'm with you there. Less is more in some cases. Well, it's not so much the case in the GOP Senate primary in Arizona. They're coming up on the primary in 2 weeks from today. It's August 2nd. So that's why the Good Wife and I were seeing so many ads down there, because the ballots had just landed when we were there. And one race that was obviously sucking up a ton of fucking money because of all the ads we were seeing bombarding each other was the U.S. Senate primary for the GOP. Now, Mark Kelly is up again, or up for re-election. He's the Democrat, husband of Gabby Giffords, former Congresswoman. He's very well liked in Arizona. He's got good numbers. He's likely to be reelected. Kristen Sinema will have a tougher, I think, job because she's a little more to the center. But Mark Kelly's got he's just left enough, and he's just centrist enough. He's got good background. I think he was either he or his brother was an astronaut, but very solid resume. So he's in pretty good shape to get reelected. The real battle is on the Republican side between Jim Lehman and Blake Masters. Both of them are pretty much political neophytes. One of them's a neophyte to life. He looks like he's 5 years old, and he has like 5 kids. So there's something going on there. Anyway,
a friend of Peter Thiel. You're talking about Blake Masters.
Correct. Yeah, he's absolutely, literally a friend of Peter Thiel, and friend of Palantir and all sorts of Silicon Valley nastiness. Jim Lehman is from what we can tell, business guy, importer, exporter, some sort of business mogul in Arizona, run a lot of businesses basically and made some money off of them, doing a lot of different things. So the real battles between the two of them. Masters has Trump support, but Lehman is really trying to paint himself as more to the right on all the issues and more MAGA than Masters. So we're going to kick it off here. We're going to do some back and forth ads between the two campaigns, because this is sort of what we were waking up to every day. But this is an earlier ad from the race, and it got Jim Lehman in a little bit of hot water. But this is Jim Lehman's Super Bowl TV ad that he bought time for. The director's cut, so it's about a minute. Most of these are 30 seconds. And this drew some controversy because of sort of the vibe, shall we say, of the ad. But let's watch it, and you can tell me what you think.
It's an easy gang!
All of it is in Big Jim Lehman.
We're tired of being pushed around!
And inflation.
And open borders! And gas prices!
The good people of Arizona have had enough of you. It's time for a showdown.
I like that Nancy came with a knife.
Now you go on and get! Yeah.
Go on and get.
I'm Jim Lehman.
Go on and get.
Approve this message.
He's riding on the horse.
I mean, at least he just disarmed them. I don't know.
It's fabulous. I mean, that was just great.
And also, I can agree with the metaphor of Nancy Pelosi always bringing a fucking knife to the gunfight. Like we could get a little common ground there with Jim, I think.
Yeah, I think that the metaphor is very appropriate. In fact, although she is Italian too, so maybe they were making some sort of vague mafia reference. I don't know. But yeah, so that's Jim Lehman's sort of salvo in the race. Now, Jim has some controversy himself because apparently, as any, I think, big business person in America has done, Jim has had some dealings with China and with Chinese businesses. And so the Masters supporters and some PACs associated with him are making some hay out of that. And this, absolutely, I want to preface this, producer Dave, this ad, if you haven't watched it yet, takes the cake. This is one of the best attack ads the Good Wife and I have ever seen, because it, one, makes you laugh. It makes you really upset, no matter who you are. We're upset because it's just so disgusting. And it makes a point very, very clearly and very succinctly in 30 seconds. And it's blistering. So please enjoy. This is one of the best ads we've ever seen.
Many candidates are running for U.S. Senate. Meet China's candidate, Jim Lehman. Lehman's company imports its supplies from China. He helped build nuclear power plants for the Chinese government. Associated with forced slave labor, and using the money he makes in China to run for office in Arizona. Jim Lehman, he would be China's man in the Senate, not ours. Saving Arizona PAC is responsible for the content of this message.
I have some questions about Chinese products and how many of them were used to produce that advertisement. Figure there are computers involved in the production. There are cameras, fucking even like cables running between different devices, fucking network switches to send things back and forth. Maybe they're storing it on a server somewhere, all the components of which were made in China. Also, I feel like that gong wasn't made in China. I feel like they made that shit in New York City. Like the fucking Pace Picante sauce commercials.
New York City, get a rope. I love the gong though. It's just like every 5, not even 5 seconds. It's like every 3 seconds, gong.
Yeah, like chat's saying, it's like almost too ridiculous to be offensive in any sort of meaningful way.
Like, it's so fun. It's just, that's why it's laughable, right? And then, but the background music, even better. That just sort of zither, what they would, stereotypical Asian music, right? In the background, just so silly and it tells you all you need to know about where Republicans, at least in Arizona, are coming from and where their perspective is, right? Like China, like it's emphasized every single time they said China, right? Like the other racist, right? And not only that, like look at, there's even there are some subtleties in that ad. Even if you look at the name Jim Lehman in the ad, they threw a little line through the J, about midway down the J. just to make it look more like a Chinese character. Right. No reason to at all other than that. So, this is a consultant who knows exactly what they're doing, who knows it's a bunch of shit, probably a bunch of hooey, and they're using all sorts of Chinese products to make their ad, and they don't give a fuck, and they have no shame at all, and they're just making money. And I can't, frankly, as a business person, I don't suppose I can blame them. As a human being, this is disgusting.
So the rational response to this is like, hey, you're watching my ad on a television. That if the television itself was not made in China, many of the components were. Your remote control was made in China. If you're watching this on your laptop or the components in it were made in China. Everything that we have is made in China. So if you run a business in the United States, you have to use products from China or you can't run your business. I have a feeling that's not going to be his response.
No, he's going to go and pivot a little bit. So this is his response to all the crap that people have been talking about him.
A big tech billionaire and Washington swamp creatures are spending millions lying about me. I say, bring it on. I'm a veteran and a patriot. I always put America first, and that terrifies them. I created thousands of American jobs, made America less dependent on foreign energy, supported American manufacturing, and hired veterans first. I'll put my record against no experience, open borders, fake Blake Masters any day. I'm Jim Lehman, and I approve this message.
Oh, God, this is the worst race.
So did you notice the theme in that ad of his response?
Was I created American jobs.
America, right? Like the ad attacking him is China, gong, China, gong. So his response is America, America, America. Not which I think yours more rational response is, well, yeah, I'm a fucking businessman. And if you're not doing business with China right now, you're fucking crazy.
Even if you're not doing business directly with China, like I'm not doing business with China. Where the fuck do you think my microphone was? Where the fuck do you think my microphone was made?
Right. It's not the state we're talking about too, but that's so. Yeah. No, I that would be a more rational response. But of course, this is the Republican primary, so you go balls out. America, 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 America. I'm going to wrap myself in the American flag and kiss it and go to bed with it.
Where do you think that American flag was made?
So now, Jim Lehman, his part two of his response is to now attack Blake Masters, who we will meet. I promise. We're going to meet him in a second. Attack him for being supported by all these tech bros and the Peter Thiels of the world. So, and that's of course in Arizona, Silicon Valley is like, we might as well be the fucking hate in San Francisco. So
I'm Jim Lehman, and I approve this message.
Before running for Senate, Blake Masters openly supported open borders and unrestricted illegal immigration. Now, Masters wants to spend billions on border surveillance tech and a bunch of fancy drones. Why? Follow the money. This is how it works. Blake Masters works for a California big tech billionaire, founder of Palantir, a surveillance company, and Anduril, a company that makes, you guessed it, drones. Blake Masters is telling us point blank how he plans to profit off public office and funnel taxpayer money back to the big tech billionaire backer spending millions to buy Masters a Senate seat. Because having a puppet senator means big profits for big tech. If you follow the money, it's clear. Blake Masters doesn't care about the border. It's all about the money.
So I noticed they didn't mention Peter Thiel specifically, but that's who is Palantir's Peter Thiel's firm.
Mm-hmm.
Not for nothing. This guy's also on the board of Thiel Capital.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, no, they. You wouldn't want to waste time in the ad just name dropping Peter Thiel because the people in Arizona wouldn't know who he is. They might know what Palantir is. Because they probably heard of it, so that's going to be the bigger dig than saying the person's name specifically, and you save a little time having to explain it that way. But we know who it is. So that was a little crossover there, and that's why I included that ad. In fact,
I'm a gay man of a certain age who came of age here. I know exactly who and what Peter Thiel is.
Right. So that's why I included that ad because I thought that was something I hadn't seen while we were down there. That was a new ad that's in the last 6 days posted on the YouTubes. So this is a heated race. So Blake Masters, not to be outdone, I don't want to just lean heavy on Jim Layman. He's got his own take on everything, right? And he's being called, fake and open borders Blake and all this other nastiness by Jim Layman. So he wants to show that he's earned Trump's endorsement and that he understands that we have a very serious problem at our border. And it looks a lot like World War Z, if you've seen that movie. But let's watch the clip.
250,000 illegals cross this border every month.
Is that a video game?
This is an invasion. We know what to do. We need to finish Trump's wall. We need 5 times more border patrol. And we need technology to lock this border down. If we don't do these things right now, we're not going to have a country. I'm Blake Masters, and I approve this message. President Trump endorsed me because he knows that I'm going to secure this border.
No, it's because you're Peter Thiel's friend, and Peter Thiel gave fucking Donald Trump a ton of fucking money.
There you go. Now it all makes so much more sense. We were trying to figure this out because we're down there and we're like, man, Jim Layman seems awfully a lot like Donald Trump's guy. But no, this guy, and I get it now. It makes a lot more sense. So speaking of Donald Trump's guy, we can't go this whole thing without watching one of the funniest ads that we saw while we were down there, and the most awkward ads. No. It's definitely the most awkward ad. I don't know. Donald Trump is to me the most awkward person alive when it comes to doing anything staged, right? Anything that's pre-scripted. Even as much as like walking across the street to that church, right, with the Bible upside down and all that shit, that awful look, right? That was staged. That's why it was such an awful look. That's why it was a flub, because it was staged and it was thought out. When Donald Trump's at his best, he's not thinking at all. He's just reacting, or he's being proactive, and he's just going off on a tangent. And that, unfortunately, is the sad truth. Is that's why he speaks to a lot of Americans, because most Americans don't think very deeply about things, and that's unfortunate, but that's the truth. So he appeals to them because he doesn't think very deeply about things. But when he starts to think deeply and he has to read a script, it's really awkward. So we're going to watch how awkward it gets when he starts to talk about how much he loves Blake Masters. And by the way, this is the final cut of the ad. So let's check it out.
Blake Masters is an incredible person, a very smart guy, and an America First fighter. I endorse Blake because he will protect our border, he stands for life, and he's strong on election fraud. Frankly, he's strong on everything needed to keep Arizona first. Mark Bronovich and Jim Layman, on the other hand, will only let you down. Blake Masters has my complete and total endorsement.
I'm Blake Masters, and I approve this message. Sir.
Thank you.
He just seems so disingenuous.
So what's awkward about that is I think Trump's like a fake billionaire, and I'm not sure if Blake Masters is a billionaire, but the person who made that happen is a real billionaire,
right?
And like a Marvel movie monster, or like a Marvel movie bad guy, like person.
He's the person who's not in the like not pictured, right? Like, but there, he's there, but he's not there.
Oh, Peter Thiel looms large in the GOP now. Yeah, anybody maybe under 30, well, men under 30, okay, men that he probably met when they were like 19, for whatever reason, that he thinks are good looking. The Peter Thiel probably looms large in that. Even if you've never met him, he's like, oh, look at that, I'm gonna throw some money at that. Like I think that's going on here, just because you were around a place for a while, somebody's like a big player in a place for a while. You go to parties, you hear things, you see things, you notice things.
Sure.
You notice things.
You notice things, bro.
You notice things.
From behind the twin tables. But, so yeah, if you're down in Arizona, or if you're not, go on YouTube. It's not that hard to find this stuff. Check out Blake Masters. Just search Blake Masters for Senate. Search Jim Layman for Senate. I'm not so much sure about this Mark Bronovich dude, so you can look them up too. But they weren't really doing ads, and that means they're not really going to play statewide. So check out the ads. There's plenty more of them. Check out their longer form debates and other things. It's a very fun experience. Highly recommended. And go from there and go down the rabbit hole. You'll find some very interesting shit.
So
I wish. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, my take here is just based on what I know, I think Blake Masters is going to win. I haven't looked at the polling, but just kind of based on the ads, the way everything looks,
Yeah.
Blake's ads are calmer. They're saying things that I disagree with. The policy prescriptions are bad, but they're not like, there's a certain tone to his opponent's ads, and it makes me think his opponent is maybe back on his heels a little bit.
Oh yeah, no, very much so. Blake's definitely got some momentum going into this race, but we shall see how it turns out eventually, and we'll cover it after the fact. We'll be sure to bring you the story here on Down Ballot about what transpires in this race. I only wish we could do some video. There might be some candidate forum video, League of Women Voters kind of stuff of some local city council races we found, and town council races we found that could be very interesting if we could get them on video, because there were some candidates in Scottsdale specifically who had some quite intriguing views about things, and interesting takes on affordable housing, which apparently is an issue obviously everywhere. So we'll see if we can get some more and follow up later on that. But that was part of our little trip down to Arizona and the political side of things. Interesting place. So we're coming to the end of another Down Ballot.
We are.
I don't know when I shall see you again, but it will be soon. But in the meantime, we have And Another Thing. And you found this one. So I'm actually, this is fantastic. I can't believe I missed this story. But maybe you want to lead us into this? I don't know if you know anything about it.
It's just that it seems like desert tortoises need a little bit of a relocation program. They need a new home. And yeah, I don't generally watch stuff before I run it. I just figured, well, we usually do an animal interest story if we can for And Another Thing. And, any kind of animal that can survive in Arizona is a fucking friend of mine, because they don't got air conditioning.
Right. The tortoises definitely don't. Well, yeah, let's see what's going on. Apparently they're looking for their vacation homes.
I wonder if it gets hot in their little house.
It probably does.
Trouble saying goodbye? How about a new pet who will stick by your side for decades? Arizona Game and Fish, desperate to adopt out hundreds of Sonoran tortoises, hoping to give them good homes with your help. ABC 15's Cameron Pullum explains why so many need new owners.
Right now we have close to, I want to say 260. That's a lot. It's the most that we've had at one time, for sure.
Tegan Wolf is the Desert Tortoise Adoption Coordinator for Arizona Game and Fish. Her team is currently stretching resources to care for hundreds of Sonoran desert tortoises looking for new homes.
I mean, they're very personable. They all have personality and they like to be interacted with.
Not to mention, they are cute. All have been seized from either illegal breeding operations or surrendered by owners who could no longer care for them. But the number now waiting for adoption is taxing the department.
In total, we have 7 people here that are taking care of almost 300 tortoises. So that's a lot for 7 people.
Unfortunately, captive tortoises can't be released back into the wild, as they can transmit diseases that can decimate our wild population. That's why they hope you'll take one home. Wolf says adopters must have a securely enclosed yard and construct an inexpensive burrow like these for their new pet. Videos online walk you through the step-by-step process of building one.
These guys brumate during the winter, so it's like hibernation. To brumate properly, they need to have a burrow with the proper humidity, the depth. It also gets them out of the heat of the day.
Whether from little ones like these to fully grown adults like Thanos, adoption is limited to 1 per household.
The most intimidating factor of tortoise ownership is most likely these guys' longevity.
I know that a lot of people are a little bit intimidated by the lifespan, which is 80 plus years, but you can put them in your will.
So if you're looking for a literal lifelong companion unique to our wonderful state, these little lettuce munching machines may just be for you. I'm Cameron Pullum, ABC 15, Arizona.
Aww. These are the best. This is like, to me, this is the best pet because it lives as long as you're going to live, or longer, right? I mean, I'm a dog person. I love dogs. I like cats too, but dogs are just so sweet. But their lives are finite compared to average human lifespan. So you're going to have a bunch of dogs over the course of your life if you're a dog person, or maybe you only have one because you had one, you were so heartbroken that they had to go away, right? So with a tortoise, granted, it's not as cute maybe and cuddly and furry as a dog, but it's certainly handsome and certainly cute and gonna stay with you through thick and thin for the rest of your life. So why not? Especially if they need someone to adopt them. I'm totally down for that. And they're never going to run away.
Well,
unless you're really unattentive.
They could escape, but running away is, they're not running.
Yeah, they might get to the front yard. But that's about it. So yeah, if you're in the desert out there, go check out the adoption center and adopt a tortoise. Hashtag adopt a tortoise. And that's okay. Another thing.
So, want to read our show out?
Well, absolutely. Thanks so much, everyone, for taking a trip down to Arizona. We're going to just close your eyes and spread our wings. We're going to fly back gently to the Bay Area, down to the South Bay, somewhere in the West San Jose, Campbell, Los Gatos, Saratoga-ish, Cupertino Valley-ish.
For now.
Santa Claraville, San Jose, adjacent. Come back down to earth. You're landing. You're going to check out Local Love in just a minute. We're going to have a really fun time digging into some local tunes.
We got a pre-recorded interview by the Media Wench with Matt from Periscope, actually. So that's
very nice. And maybe we'll listen to some Periscope too, because they're fabulous. We love them.
That's part of the interview, obviously.
So stay tuned for that, and then just breathe deep, enjoy life, and we'll see you on the other side. Make sure that you get vaxxed, that you wear a mask, watch out for Omicron, and pants are optional, folks. Peace out.
Time to get the party started. Pick up my phone just to check and see who's calling. Dress up real nice for the ladies at the bar, and I'm driving in my car just to get to where they are. Here at the local scene is where I plant my feet. It's where I smoke my cigarette and I hold my drink. I look at all my friends, they're all blazing greens. Here at the front of the stage, waiting for MTV. Where are those guys who's standing next to me with a pipe in his hand, ready to blaze for me? About 5 minutes later, we're all singing Queen. Now get the fuck up on stage, man, rock the scene, yeah. We do what we want, and what we want is to jam. So sit back and enjoy the band. We do what we want, and what we want is to jam. So sit back and enjoy the band. Enjoy that band. I turn and head back to the bar for a refill, man, because you know where we are. We're headed out to the car to smoke another one and another one. Now just when the magic starts kicking in, I hear relapse playing, you know it's time to head in. Alright everybody, now it's time to grab a new drink. Spark it if you got it and then pass it to me, yeah. We do what we want, and what we want is to jam. So sit back and enjoy the band. We do what we want to do, and what we want is to jam. So sit back and enjoy the band. Enjoy that band. Last up on the bill for the show tonight is Down and Dirty at 5, so we're headed outside to spark up another joint. Now who's got my lighter? Stoner E, of course, shouldn't you be inside? I'm all up in this bitch, being who I gotta be. I'm fucked up like the US economy. The truth is that I don't think logically. Stoner E take you on a psychedelic odyssey. Now inside motherfuckers is rocking me, and outside shit we smoke a lot of broccoli. Rocky the roller, yo, that sexy girl be jocking me. Ain't too drunk to fuck, but I'll probably do it sloppily. We do what we want, what we wanna do, and what we want is to jam. So sit back and enjoy the band. Enjoy the band, enjoy the band. We do what we want, what we wanna do, and what we want is to jam. So sit back and enjoy the band. All they say, that he like jamming, and they hope he like jamming too. Well, I gotta say, thank you, Bob, we do. Yes, I gotta say, thank you, Bob, we do. Well, Bob Marley said that he liked jamming and he hoped we liked jamming too. Well, I gotta say, thank you, Bob, we do. Yes, I gotta say, thank you, Bob, we do. Yeah, we do what we want, and what we want is to jam. So sit back and enjoy the band. We do what we want, and what we wanna do, what we want is to jam. So sit back and enjoy the band. Enjoy that band. We do what we wanna do, what we want is to jam. So sit back and enjoy the band. Enjoy that band. We do what we want, and what we want is to jam. So sit back and enjoy the band.
All the goth DJs and Twitch witches are hanging out on Thursday for the Bad VHS Rips, Unblinking Eyes, and Fire by Night. Thetans and Satans comes from an interest in the cult of Scientology, moral panics, Satanism, and how they set the tone for the extremist social media panics of today. We really earn our Weird Left Twitch badge with this show, watching the world go red light in reverse every Thursday at 9 p.m. Pacific on twitch.tv/echoplexmedia. Find our full schedule at echoplexmedia.com.